I want to fly with you. Let's go flying. Let's go flying. Ooh, doo, 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 doo. Ooh. This is the new FlyWoo Firefly Hex Nano. It's a little baby hexacopter that runs on 4S and can carry the Insta 360 Go 2. I'm excited about it because it's a little small option to be able to carry this Go 2, and it's actually pretty quiet. So let's go ahead and get it tested, get a sense of how good this thing is so that we can decide whether or not it's something that we can use for content creation down the road. Let's jump in. This is actually the HD version of the Firefly Hex Nano, and it's got a Caddx FPV Nebula Pro in it. You can see there's a little tiny stack in there that's got the HD system built into it, so we can run this with the DJI goggles. And by default, it comes with a Crossfire micro antenna, so you have, the best possible control situation for this little guy. Now, I'm not sure what kind of flight times we're going to be running, but I would imagine that combined with something like this, the lithium-ion pack from FlyWoo, we'll be able to do some pretty serious cruising. I'm gonna guess right now at least 10 minutes, but we're about to go out in the field and find out. This little guy uses 6 1202.5 5500 kV motors with little, just under 2-inch props. By default, it comes with a left-hand antenna to match your DJI FPV air unit system, and they sell it with this little mount for the Insta 360 Go 2, though I have a little bit of a criticism because it kind of pushes the button if you don't kind of squish it up like this. So I've squished it together so that I can get in here, hold down the button, turn on the Insta 360 Go, hit the record button, etc., without having it accidentally shut off or hit the button because of how tight this little mount is. This thing is not going anywhere. Using the FlyWoo Goku system, they've created their own little Hexacopter 6-in-1 ESC, and this whole thing runs off of an XT60. So I've got a 4S GNB 520 battery on there. I think they recommend 550, but I'm going to try it with the 550, with a 650, and with this 3-amp lithium-ion pack, and we're going to use all of those to kind of get a good sense of what's the best pack and what are the different options for this little guy. We're going to do a little bit of freestyle, we're going to do a little bit of long range, and see what kinds of different performance we can get out of this hilarious looking little machine. Obviously you can see that this has prop bumpers, so you have the ability to kind of bump into things, but it's also very easy to take off by just replacing the motor screws. In the box, you've got a whole bunch of extra screws. These are going to be the shorter screws to use with the motors without the prop guards. Got a bunch of different spare pieces in there, tons of spare props, an extra battery strap, some zip ties, more zip ties, stickers. You get the rest of your Nebula because they stripped it down to put it into the quad. Instructions on the flight controller. All of that's really good to see, especially with the extra props. I also have the analog version of the Firefly Hex, and let me tell you, these props come off pretty easily and they're not super durable. So having a bunch of extra ones is really, really nice. But combined with the prop guards on here, I think it's going to make it a little bit more user-friendly for somebody that's getting used to this. So I'm really excited about the power that this is going to have and the control that you're going to have with the Insta 360 Go 2, combined with the form factor, and it's just a kind of a unique little bird, especially when you're plugged in. You got a ton of little, glowy, shiny LED lights, which I think is kind of fun. So I'm excited to see what this looks like up in the air. So let's get over to a field and get this bad boy up and flying. So I attempted to get out and film this before my wife left for work, but I forgot an SD card for this camera and the controller for the Insta 360 and all this stuff. So now me and James are out here at Church A attempting to film a video, so we'll see how this goes. I apologize in advance if it's just a complete nightmare. So now we've got Insta 360 Go is rolling, this camera is rolling, DVR is rolling, here's a clap sync. All right, let's see how this thing flies. All right, first thing I noticed out of the box is this is definitely the low quality version of the Nebula. It's barely better than analog, which is probably necessary for the price and availability right now. But yeah, this does not look very good compared to other HD setups. I've already crashed. And we're gonna go walk for it. The latency was definitely running higher. It was running at like 40 milliseconds, where typically my different HD setups are running at 20 or something like that. So like it was very latent. It's not a good sign, not a good start. All right, let's go get it. I don't know how long the range on this thing is, but we'll see. James, good? Yeah, all right. So I gotta not forget that I got my kid there. I gotta keep an eye on him as well. I think I might have bumped off a prop, or it was also, this is a little bit long, so it's probably hard to take off. Oh yeah, the prop guard bent in a little bit and was getting in the way of the motor, but all good other than that. Yeah, the latency was the weirdest part though, for sure. Like that's why I hit the tree. I was not confident in where the machine was, so let's try this again. It's pretty quiet, it's a little shrill. So yeah, right now I'm running at 36 megabits per second, or milliseconds, where like normally this would be running 24. Tune's all right. I feel some loose things, like, but it might be balanced with that camera up there. I might need to move the battery back. But you can see when I punch the throttle here in the DVR, it kind of jiggles a little bit. So we'll have to see what that's all about. Ooh, tried to do a little bit of a, you know, rolly thing and it got a little squirrely. There's not a lot of wind today, so we don't have to contend with that at least. It flies a little bit underpowered. Yeah, there's so much latency, dude. This is so weird. Let's try some range. Let's see how far we can kind of get around this corner. There's a little bit of, like, so latency is messing with me, and then it's definitely a little bit underpowered. It could use a little bit more juice. Good range over there, all the way around the corner. There's some people playing softball over there, so I don't want to go bother them too much. Track's nice on a line, but as soon as you try to do anything acro, it's like, you can see how much it's just kind of like, brr. I'm already at 13 volts. So my 5200 milliamp hour, 520 milliamp hour battery is not happy already. We're coming into land at 12.2. So we really only made it like 3 minutes on that battery, which also surprised me. So the Hexacopter obviously is going to use more amp hours as you're going because there's not as much juice in the tank. So let's try taking off the Insta360 Go, just running it on DVR, see if it flies a lot better as a result of that, and then see if the tune is more appropriate for it, because again, I'm adding a bunch of weight in a place that it wasn't necessarily expecting it. So cancel the recording on the Insta360, pop off the battery, nice and warm. See, motors are nice and cool, they're not bad at all. I'm sorry again for doing kind of all this rushing. So now I'm putting on a 650 4-cell instead of a 520, but I'm taking off the weight of the Insta360 Go. All right, so let's try this without the weight of the HD camera. Plugging in, and let's send her up. So much peppier, that's for sure. Latency is still an issue. Whew. The color on this camera is so purple. It's funny. Tune definitely still needs a little work. Woo! What's up, guys? Can we get along? I want to fly with you. Let's go flying. Let's go flying. Yeah, it definitely has a better feel to it without the HD camera. Sounds pretty cool. Just letting her cruise. Dive down this tree. I am impressed with the range on this nebula, even though the picture is not great. but for this little guy running at 700 milliwatts, not even with the mod, it is punching through things better than I expected it to. Like, I kind of expected everything to be a little bit down on power, down on range, but it seems to be doing a pretty good job. Let's see how this does in a good dive. Go in the middle of these trees and dive her in. Not bad. But so even without the, what's going on here? What's this person want? I don't know what they're looking at, but they're looking at something. Anyway, but yeah, I am impressed with how the range on this thing is, even though the picture quality is not great. So you can see I'm up in above the clouds, and there's a lot of wind up there. It's doing okay with it, but I think I should try to play with the tune on this, maybe for a future video or something, because like it's just a little bit too loose. Something is not quite right. But it definitely, you know, it's got power when you need it, and with the HD camera it did okay. But yeah, this tune definitely needs work. You see that bounce back? So like here, if I do a front flip, that's not a good tune. The way that the color changes on this camera, or the exposure changes on the camera, is a little bit sketchy, but it goes quick, it comes back quick. But yeah, it really does feel like I'm flying analog. I also just realized I'm flying in 16:9, which is kind of funny. Not something I usually do. I've definitely gotten used to the latency. It's still running at like 36 milliseconds compared to the 25, 28 that the standard air unit does. But it's definitely still there, definitely still noticeable, and it's not helping me be precise, that's for sure. And I've also gotten used to the way that the picture looks. Like, I can still see scraggle branches, ninja branches, all that good stuff. It's really pretty good. Let's go underneath the tripod here. But yeah, it's just a little squirrely. Needs to be tightened up. It's just very loose. All right, so that second battery with the 650 without the camera was landed at 14.5, and it was about 4.5 minutes long. So I got a much better battery life out of it the second time around, but still a little shorter than I thought. So let's put that lithium ion battery on there and see what kind of flight times we can get. If little James here will let us. Right, bud? Right, bud? Don't know how long you're gonna give me. You know what? I think this might be a lost cause. This thing is huge compared to the other batteries. I've barely got this on here. It's held on by that much. But it's on and we're just cruising, so hopefully that won't be a problem. I think this is gonna be pretty bad, but we'll see. She's working hard. I'm a little over 50% throttle, probably 60%. Okay, yeah, definitively I don't recommend using a lithium ion pack. It's just not enough power. So all in all, I don't know if I'm super impressed with the FlyWoo Firefly Nano Hex. Like, I had a lot of hope for it, especially with its size. Nice burp, dude. But it's just it's a little underpowered. It's a little bit amp hungry. It's got that nano VTX in it that is not very high quality. Though I am impressed with the range on it. I don't know, like if I was gonna be choosing between this and the FlyWoo Hex Explorer, which I've already made a video on, it and its little brother, the quad version of the Explorer, I would pick that over this. Like, this is, I wonder about potentially using this, or it has a quad version of it that would be probably pretty good for flying the little baby Insta360 Go on it. But I don't know if the Hex version really has a purpose for it right now. So I'm excited about it, but I don't know if it's my favorite thing. I think I would still go with the FlyWoo Explorer. So be sure to like and subscribe. Put that in your mouth. You're not putting it in your mouth? Not your thing? Not interested in that one? Hi. Hi. Hey guys, let you know that a bunch of the merch is just about to come back in stock, so by the time you're seeing this, we should have everything back up. If not, maybe you'll see a pre-order, but just let you know that it's all there. It's you going and purchasing this allows us to keep going out and making more videos. This has been the FlyWoo Nano Firefly. I hope that the information about this has been useful. I wish that it had a little bit more to it compared to the Flywoo Explorer line, because it's a cool concept, especially being so small. But out of the box, I'm not really stoked on it, not super sold on it. So I think I want to play with the tune a little bit, make sure that we get a little bit more preciseness out of it. And in the meantime, I guess he dropped it. Stay flying.